Welcome to the 2019 APTA Nationals presented locally by PNC, with thanks also to the APTA's national official sponsors, Viking and Uline. We're live from the Fox Chapel Racquet Club in Pittsburgh on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live. I'm Mark Fischel, along with Hall of Famer Patty Hogan, bringing you this round of 64 match between two teams from Indianapolis, Patty, Hagman and Murphy, Baxter and Held. What can you tell us about the teams?
Okay, well, this is an all-Indy match that we talked about. Ryan Baxter is the director of rackets at Highland Golf and Country Club in Indianapolis. He's playing with Zach Held, also from Indy. They're coming up against Brian Hagman, 27th in the country, alongside Thomas Murphy. This is number 27 in the country versus number 38, Mark. It's going to be a brawl.
Now, Ryan Baxter's been the best player in Indy along with Ricky Heath for a long time. So I got to think he's got a big mental edge in this match, Patty.
I think when I asked about their head-to-head matchups, Baxter said he likes his odds. He feels like he owns them in practice.
Now, Hagman and Held are a team that played together for years and years.
Yeah, you can see in the draw here, Mark, that Baxter Held came through. In their early match, they had a quick run of it, 0-0, and I saw a little bit of the Hagman-Murphy match. I've not seen those guys play that much, and it's kind of interesting. The matchup with Held and Murphy are two real physical players, Mark. Both of them play on top of the net, kind of big, strong guys. And both teams almost seem like they mirror each other a little bit, their styles of play. Like I said, I've only watched 15 minutes of Murphy and Hagman, but...
And the winner of this match gets the defending national champions, John Hughes and Mark Powers.
So I do expect a long match here, Mark. These guys, bragging rights in Indianapolis is on the line here, the APTA National Championship.
And Ryan Baxter is one of the most talented players out there. Jets in the back of his sneakers, generates power over both wings. He is a load. With him, it always comes down to shot selection for me.
Baxter to serve.
Okay, so this is Ryan Baxter serving in the blue jacket.
That's Thomas Murphy over in the juice court on the far side, and Brian Hagman's in the ad court with glasses.
And obviously Zach Held the net in the dark outfit. So Patty, how did you feel when you were playing a team you played all the time?
You're so familiar with each other's style of play, shot selection, but it's very different when you practice all winter long versus coming out here at Nationals. And, maybe Baxter, he views himself as the favorite in this match. But I watch those other guys play, and I'm telling you, Murphy's impressive, real physical, like I said, on top of the net. Hagman's really good, great movement. Both of them move really well.
So the first point is proving you to be a prophet in terms of it's going to be a brawl. At this rate, we'll be done by about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
I think you'd be lucky if that's the case.
Haven't seen any driving at all. There's our first drive. And we had a problem with this in the last match, Patty, where the gate is constantly coming open. They've got to wedge it closed.
If this was a women's match, someone would wedge a ball immediately. I have a feeling in a men's match it might take a little bit longer unless the umpire tells them to do it right now.
There's no question the guys are stupider than the women. Yeah, that's what
think
happened in the last match.
They need more information before making a crucial decision.
More
sticking a ball in the
information.
door, Mark.
That's very diplomatic, Patty. Do you give Sandy more information?
I've learned a lot, Mark, in the past decade.
So here's a rare instance, Patty, where we have a long point to start and then it didn't happen. So let's start the match, Patty. How do you see these two teams?
Something tells me this is going to be a brawl. I think that, your point about long points, you might not see some driving. I just think none of them wants to miss. And don't you feel the intensity level immediately? It's almost like they've already played a point, Mark. No, but they're all dialed in. These guys just got off the court. sure when the draw came out, they looked at this matchup, hoping they would both get to this point. And they both did so easily.
15 low.
It's obviously early in the match since they played 1.5 points, can we say? But it seems to me that Hagman and Murphy, their plan is to play very slowly. You saw them bypass a number of driving opportunities in the aborted first point. I mean, there's a ball he could have easily driven and chose not to. Great ball there from Murphy.
Well, I was listening to the sound effects on a few of Ryan Baxter forehands this morning.
Oh.
It almost breaks the sound barrier, I think. Kind of a different formation, Mark. You see Held dressed in all black, up closer to the net than Baxter to the right in the blue, hitting the overheads. This is a unique setup.
Well, especially playing as many balls as they are into the ad court over there. Good eye from Baxter.
30-15.
Why do you think they're not switching in the net, Patty, to put Baxter's overhead in the middle?
I don't know. I haven't seen him play that much. But I'm clearly, I think they're going to go after Hagman into that deuce court, and looks like it's going to be Baxter's overhead all day. And I know they like to play with Held on top of the net, so I guess maybe they're committed to that arrangement. And that
Great.
was great lob up the line there.
Yep.
30 all.
Great shot from Hagman. Takes us to 30 all.
Like I referenced earlier, Murphy and Held like to play on top of the net. See how close Murphy got in there, Mark?
Just misses that one long. Takes us to game point.
30. Deuce.
I'll tell you the only thing separating these guys in the rankings, Hagman and Murphy got to the finals of Indianapolis, and they lost to Kaylin Round there. And I think they're really close in the rankings.
Philip Ram, who you can see at the top of the screen in the next court with Casey Watt.
Add in.
Philip is a Pittsburgh guy, Mark.
Yep.
Saw him play a little President's Cup. Impressive player, fairly new to the game. How many overheads has Held hit so far? Is that his third in the match?
Maybe.
Baxter's already hit about 40.
And it's great discipline by Held to let that ball through for Baxter to hit it.
I love how he's moving to his right off the court at times to just let the player to his left, Ricky Baxter, hit the overheads.
And
That's
there
the
they get
problem when you
confused.
back up. I'm impressed with Hagman's play out of the ad court. Real disciplined player. Clearly understands where he needs to lob the ball, kind of mess up the system that Held and Baxter had.
But you tagged it early, Patty. It's interesting that Baxter's playing the deuce court and hitting all the overheads from that formation.
Deuce.
I don't know what the purpose of that is.
I've never seen it done successfully. At a high level, I should say.
I mean, Durant Parsons did the permanent eye, but that was more one up, one back. This is not that. And again, another ball that could have been driven that they lobbed. They're really sticking with their game plan early on. which speaks well for their chances to win.
And Held is just kind of off the court a little bit here.
Do you see any advantages to this formation, Patty?
I actually don't at this point. And I always think, Mark, that when a guy gets frozen out, he doesn't get to hit that many overheads. That also impacts him. I feel like you need to have some more frequent overhead, opportunities. But Baxter's overhead, Mark, is such a different overhead than Held. Held seems like he hits it at a higher contact point, a little higher bouncing, flatter hit ball than Baxter. So I can see why they would love to have Baxter hit a ton.
Yeah, all that makes perfect sense to me. What doesn't make sense is not switching at the net and leaving Baxter on the deuce side to hit the overheads.
Yep, get him to the player to the left of the two players. In a sense, in the ad court.
Yeah.
The ad court side of it. It's an incredible intensity level from the moment these guys walked on the court and started this match. Wow.
Great blitz from Baxter there. That's the type of shot making we've come to expect from him.
You think he knew where that ball was going? he
Think he
took off before that shot got hit.
Yeah, he's seen the end that play a lot of times, is my guess.
It's the
Interesting.
advantage of practicing with your buddies.
Interesting first game.
See what kind of formation we see out of Murphy and Hagman here.
So Hagman to serve. This is the drive long.
15 love.
Hagman is the director of racket sports at the Woodstock Club in Indianapolis, Indiana.
You see Murphy all over that net. Great exchange. Oh, played the point so intelligently and then did that little slap forehand, fading back.
That's the first rip he had during a point. He's lobbed so many to try to, stick with whatever their strategy is to just keep a million balls in play here.
And then Murphy gets caught reaching for a ball.
These guys are 27th and 38th in the country, current national rankings. They played line one against any club team, any A team in the country. Would the A team players win 2 games off these guys?
Nope.
That's how good these guys are.
Baxter misses that one, gets caught in transition.
What's the longest match ever in APTA history, Mark?
I don't want to talk about that, Patty.
40-30.
It's a missed forehand from Held off a soft serve. Yeah, it's so hard to let that ball go.
Deuce.
When you're so close to the net like that, you've just got to maintain discipline and stay in your window frame when you're volleying.
You see Murphy's play right there, Mark. Right on top of the net.
Add in.
Absolutely right. He just on top. I mean, which side of the net is he on, actually?
That's an interesting point because, as we know, you can't contact the ball over the net. But when I was watching earlier, I saw him follow through a couple times, and it almost seemed like he contacted the ball on the other side. He clearly didn't, and if he did, obviously in this sport, if you don't have an umpire, you would call it yourself.
Big forehand there from Baxter. Oh, great volley drop shot. Oh, great play.
Game, Hagman Murphy. First set is tied, 1 game all.
You see Held coming in and Baxter coming in. Baxter did not want to get in Held's way on that shot.
And he misses the easy overhead.
15 love. Love 15, sorry.
Following this match, which could be in 3 or 4 hours, we'll have women's 16s action. We had one upset earlier in the women's draw, Mark. Bodman and Allmuller went out to Lucy Nunning and Jacqueline Williamson.
Jacqueline Williamson, longtime top player with Karen Coaches. I don't think that's a big upset.
Hey, they had a solid win, 6-2, 6-3 earlier today. Maybe we'll get to watch some of them on the live stream later on.
And that's the first time I've seen Hallie Bodman playing with anybody but Liz Hayward.
Yeah, I know Liz had a conflict, couldn't play, and they're all good friends in Chicago, and they jumped in, formed a team.
So now you're seeing Held hit some more overheads. But there's the confusion. They get away with it there. Nope, misses that one long.
15 all.
15 all.
5 all.
Great shot there.
30-15.
Mark, I think as Ryan Baxter goes, so goes this match. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. I've been very impressed with how slowly Hagman and Murphy have played. And I'm a little bit perplexed by the formation that Baxter and Held are using. As you accurately pointed out, I've never seen it before, and I guess I shouldn't say never seen it before, I've never seen it used effectively. Boy, that's a ball that Hagman wants back. Played the whole point to get the ball there and then missed the forehand.
Okay, maybe I know why they're doing it.
Okay, I'm all ears.
I'm totally making this up. But I'm thinking that, well, the next time it happens, Mark, I'll talk about it a little bit. I just think maybe Hagman crushes the ball. He's got awesome inside-out forehand when I did see him tee off on it. And that cross-court shot, they've got Zach just right on top of the net waiting for that. And so maybe they're giving him the up the line forehand instead. I don't know.
So obviously playing most of the balls into Hagman. And here's where the conventional formation with Baxter's overhead in the middle.
Murphy and Held get, what, 1 out of every 15 shots out here?
Pretty much, although a few more at this point for Murphy. Where Hagman's got no intent to drive the ball at all. I think this match has already exceeded the length of the first 2 sets of the last match I did. Good athletic move by Murphy there.
That's what I'm saying, Mark. I watched him for 15 minutes. He kind of reminded me of someone from, this will date me back to Stipa Zink, Greg Stipa.
Wow.
Top of the net, incredible quickness.
Great hands.
Greg was he a catcher? Baseball catcher?
I think so.
Second base maybe? But sort of the same physical play and a tremendous skill.
And there Baxter gets beat in the Murphy corner. Smart enough to let it through and regroup and start over. Now you see Murphy pounding the ball into Held.
Is he pounding it, Mark, or is he kind of pushing?
Little of both. Great volley there from Hagman.
40-30.
There we go. Held hit the overhead. Up. Now we're back to Baxter moving way over, taking it.
I don't see what the advantage is for Baxter to hit this overhead from that angle.
How fun is it to watch Murphy, Mark?
Great action there. And there they simply outlasted him, and they tried that hard overhead and were lucky to survive in transition before losing the point. Deuce. See, that's a bad read by Hagman. He's got to be looking for the line there.
But you know, I was thinking to myself, that why wouldn't you take
What
some
sometimes do you
shots?
think to other people?
It's good that I was even thinking.
You're always thinking, Patty Hogan.
But what I was thinking about was
Game. Baxter Held. They lead the first set 2-1.
Hagman showed no indication that he was going to drive a ball. Why wouldn't you take a shot, go at that nick, try to get the ball to shoot out? Because clearly Hagman's just going to lob every ball, and then how do you end the points? So I would think, you know, from cross court you could maybe tee up and do the Mark Parsons, Johan. You know, those guys were pretty incredible at their ability to hit this, you know, the exact corner and get the ball flying out.
I agree with that completely, Patty.
I mean, the risk is it sets up and comes out way too far. But in a way, it could be worth the risk here. I mean, I don't know if those guys ate lunch before this match, but they're going to be ordering dinner by the time it's over.
Just a virtually perfect paddle day. No sun, no wind. Cool, but not too cool. What was your experience playing with the temporary courts, Patty? Do you think they play differently than the permanent courts? Is there any consistency to them?
You know, it was something I never paid any issue. I didn't even factor it into anything because I just felt like you're out there in every match. The other team's the same way. Maybe they're a little bouncier. Maybe, you know, the screens are obviously, these were just put up and they're pure. So
They
if
do seem
anything,
tighter, don't they?
just tighter so the ball's flying out. You know,
Great ball from Held there. Catches the seam.
yeah, the court. I mean, you can hear the sound effects off the courts. There's some squeaking going on. these are on top of hard true courts, right, Mark?
Yep.
Mark, how long could you leave a temporary court up?
Till your tennis season starts.
Could you put it in a parking lot and leave it there for 4 years?
If you wanted to lose some parking spots.
Let's say the parking lot was wide open and it was never used. Could you leave
You could
a
leave
court
it
there
there.
for 7 years, Mark? We're going to have to go to the court builders. David Dodge is here with Total Platform Tennis. They put up these temporary courts, and I'm going to ask him that question.
Seen a lot of cross-court lobbing from Baxter and Held.
Meaning they're hitting the ball to the predictable spot where the guy to the left of the two righties just can handle overheads all day.
Yeah, they finally hit one there to the backhand, and they got a swing out of it as Murphy missed the drop shot. They were lucky to win that point.
You can see these guys are all friendly with each other. They're each other's best competition in Indy, and they're having a lot of fun out here.
Well, I'm sure when the draw came out, they all looked at this matchup, a potential matchup.
I like Murphy Hagman as a team, Mark. Hagman is just one cool customer. He's
Yeah, it really is.
totally chill. Hopefully, lots of the members of his club, at Woodstock Club in Indy are watching this and enjoying the action, as well as the members over at Highland Golf and Country Club, where Ryan Baxter's the pro.
I think that Hagman's like the Midwest version of Steve DeRose.
I think possibly. The beard for sure.
The beard for sure. But there is only one Steve DeRose.
There's only one Steve. But maybe there's only one Brian Hagman, too. I like his red hat. He's easy to spot out there.
Really solid game Baxter Held are playing here.
Mark, when we came on the air, I think I said to you that these guys seem to have sort of similar playing styles. Would you agree with that?
Game, Baxter Held. They lead the first set.
Yeah, I
mean,
think they do have the conventional shot maker playing with a setup man. I don't know that I'm really ready to put Murphy on Baxter's level just yet. But he clearly is the offense now. The offense on the deuce court with two righties is a hard thing. You can do it if the setup man is really good. Right now it's not working quite so well.
Well, I think Hagman's got to hit occasionally. He's got to keep these guys honest.
Yes, and he hasn't done that yet.
And like I said, I'm really impressed by Thomas Murphy's play here when I saw them earlier this morning. And Hagman drove so many more balls, and it just fueled a ton of offense for both of them.
For my taste, once you start driving the ball, you're beat. It's just a question of how long it's going to take.
You mean driving every ball?
Driving any ball. Once you stop driving anything,
Oh, I gotcha.
You
When
can't
you
win.
Don't pose a threat,
yeah, you can't win playing that way. Not at a legitimate level.
and you're never going to beat a team that's better in theory. And certainly Baxter and Held have better results against higher level teams.
Yeah, I don't
even
think
though they're a little behind in the national rankings.
I don't think you'll be able to beat a team equally as good as you if you're not driving the ball. Because you're just opening up the nicks. Now people just start hitting their overheads as hard as they can. Because you're not presenting any danger, and overheads get very easy to hit. And after a good start, Hagman Murphy are seeing it slide away. They've lost the last 11 points.
I think sometimes in these early round matches, you see a player like Baxter, who's clearly the most experienced against higher level players out here, kind of taking charge.
Baxter's a former national quarterfinalist. Darien, they had a great win over Hughes Powers. And that's exactly what you were referring to earlier, Patty. Hagman's not driving the ball, so Held feels no threat. He may be able to hit the ball as hard as he wants right at the nick. He catches it there, it bounces straight out, and Hagman doesn't have any answers.
Right, in worst case, if he hits it overhead, comes over more, doesn't matter. They almost want these guys to drive a ball.
Right.
So for that reason as well, you would want to induce the drive out of your opponent.
It'll be interesting to see if Hagman and Murphy will stick with their game plan. Big forehand from Baxter. Just almost no reason to try and volley that ball. It's coming back to the service line. That was a dangerous overhead there from Murphy. There's Murphy all over the net again.
Yeah, he just challenges his opponents to hit him.
But when you're flipping your paddle there to hit that forehand volley, that's really dangerous.
And you know, you get away with that play against a little slower speed, but all of a sudden Baxter just fires his forehands. And no one on the planet has time to flip their paddle over. But also to the point where Baxter's kind of the most experienced against playing higher level competition. You know, he knows how to spot his drives. He caused the flip over of the paddle and caused the error on Murphy.
There's a little bit of a wild forehand from Baxter. $15 all. Yeah, not much room there.
There was room up the middle. Baxter didn't opt for the middle there.
That's been one of the issues that Baxter's had throughout his career. Super talented. No shots he doesn't have. He just sometimes tends to use the wrong one at the wrong moment. 40-15. All of a sudden, a bunch of misses there from Baxter, and Held takes us to 4-2.
I had a conversation last week with a pro from Jersey, and we were talking about what separates guys, women, going from the, you know, maybe let's say the top third to being in the top, you know, couple of players in the country. And I said, you know, I think about Vicky Slakosova in the women's game, especially. This was what the conversation was about. And I said, for most people, when the play speeds up, you know, their swing speed speeds up, but then you get errors.
And their heartbeat speeds up.
The heartbeat, and I said, your heartbeat can't match your swing speed. And when it's pumping fast, that's where, you know, like right there, Baxter, you know, he's pumped. He had the shot he wanted, but he just went for a little bit too much up the line over the highest part of the net.
Yeah, that's something a lot of tennis players struggle with when they come to the game. I was playing with Andrew Chan, one of the bright young players on Long Island last week, and you could see it as the point got a little crazier. His heartbeat would go up 5, 10, 15 beats until it was frenetic. And it can never be that way if you want to be successful. So here we see Hagman and Murphy back into their patient play.
It's a great shot. That's Brian Hagman in the ad court.
And again, you see Baxter hitting most of the overheads
Love 30.
from the wrong angle, and that's love 30.
But right there, Held, that, you know, Hagman and Murphy want Held to handle the overheads. If they can get him hitting more, because he backs up and just smacks that ball. It's, you know, don't quite have the control without using, you know, spins.
A little confusion here from Hagman and Murphy.
That's a killer drop.
Great shot.
15-30.
But that all started when Murphy went too far to his left and took them out of play.
Yeah, we're just going to say don't try this formation at home.
Or on the road.
This is just insider information that, you know, Baxter and Held have. They've played these guys a million times in practice. They feel confident. They're onto something. And Hagman's not looking to hit anything, so why not hit him a million balls?
There's a great ball from Murphy. Took advantage of the overhead.
And Murphy crushed that ball, but you see how far in the court that ball came for Baxter to play. That's when you talk about a new court. Really lively, really bouncy. Keeps the ball sitting up there a little bit longer.
Baxter is looking to blitz that one. Oh boy. The Held really chose not to hit that ball. It's 2 or 3 seams they've hit this point already.
Correction, ball is good.
Okay, called out by Baxter, overruled by the chair umpire.
15-40.
15-40. 2 points to get back on serve.
On the changeover, I want you to ask me about what just happened there. Okay?
I'll try and remember.
Okay. What do you think? Is Hagman the most disciplined player you've ever seen?
Remarkably disciplined. Very impressed.
30.
To me, the whole game is about playing to your strengths and avoiding your weaknesses. If you don't drive the ball well, lob the ball. Another break opportunity.
It's a couple times, thanks to this camera angle, we've seen how Brian will just let the ball hit off the side screen, back screen, keep moving over toward his partner, and you know, just let Thomas Murphy come over and lob that ball rather than have to chase it down.
Baxter and Held are literally hitting 95% of the overheads into Hagman's corner.
I feel like they're working much harder here in the first set.
Miss lob there from Hagman. Will not be happy about that. This return will not be lobbed.
could see the offense. Murphy can bring it.
Catches the nick.
Add in.
That'll take him to game point for 5-2. Great rip there from Murphy. Call confirmed by the chair umpire. Back to deuce.
What a volley from Baxter. Murphy's fun to watch, Mark.
Yep. Great shot there from Baxter. Game point again. Ryan Baxter really has such a variety of shots. Fun to watch.
His shoulder must be rubber band-like with the spin and the speed that he exerts. Being that he's not one of the taller guys out here, Mark. You know, when you see the Johans do it, it doesn't seem like there's as much effort put into it. You know, I think a little problem also for Hagman and Murphy here is, you know, Ryan's maybe hit 2 or 3 of those cut winners on a short lob from Hagman. And Murphy, I mean, he's got wheels and runs, but, you know, I think when you lob, there's a tendency that you're playing much closer to the back screen than the baseline in points. And some of the camera angles, you can kind of appreciate that.
The other danger, before I ask you what happened, is eventually your opponent's going to hit a nick or a seam and you can lose a point. So what happened before, Patty?
Well, okay. Baxter and Hell called the ball out. It just stopped play. Umpire overruled it. Where then 3 points later, same thing happened to the other team. They called it out but hit the ball back in play. And I'm amazed how many times I've seen this year where high-level players call the ball out, miss the call, get overruled, but because they didn't hit the ball back. You know, like they don't keep playing, where pros tell club-level players, assume every ball's going to be good. Look to play the next one. You can always call it out when you're, you know, positive of the call. So I'm just saying I've seen a lot of non-hits this year in umpired matches.
Oh, Murphy all over the net. I was afraid he's going to get hit in the head there. Amazing volley.
Love 15.
I guess that volley missed.
He's not afraid of any ball at the net, as you can see.
I was flinching. How did you play against someone who jumped all over the net like Murphy's doing, Patty?
Well, I didn't try much anyway, Mark. I would just lob forever. If someone was on top of the net, I would lob. If they were off the net, I would drive. I wouldn't try to defy any odds. I would just look at where they were positioned relative to the net. If they were closer to service line, try to hit an off-speed ball. If they're closer to the net, spot some lobs. Try to hit them. Try to get them to hit a weak overhead.
Great transition ball there from Hagman.
30-15.
And you can just see these players will simply let the ball go through. If they're not in a perfect position to hit a really, really solid volley, they'll just play it off the back screen.
30 all.
And again, you could see the lively nature of this temporary court, Mark.
2 points from the set.
played a really good under the radar first set here, Mark.
Well, he
Very
knows what his
few.
role is.
Right.
Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit, Patty?
Oh, he can bring it. I've seen him bring the heat when he plays, but these guys have a job as a team, and Held's job is let Baxter do his thing and try to set him up, hit a million balls in play, great lob like there, and sort of force the play over to Baxter where he gets a swing. Clearly he's got that talent that you just saw. And so, you know, you have to buy in that you relish being the setup person. I was the setup person for a lot of people.
That takes us to set point.
Wow. And Held's playing it perfectly. Yes, you know, perfect setup guy here in this first set.
Okay, Murphy misses the forehand long.
They win
Game
the
in first set, Baxter held 6-2. We'll be back in a moment after these messages right here on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live.
Elizabeth!
Elizabeth,
Stephen,
I can't believe I caught you.
you came back. I knew you'd come back.
I have to ask you something.
Anything.
What is the Netflix password?
I love Stephen.
I love Steven. It's all lowercase, one word?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You gotta get it to get it.
See ya.
Watch movies, TV shows, and exclusive series instantly.
Okay, welcome back to the 2019 APTA National Championships. We're in this round of 64 match between Baxter and Held, Hagman and Murphy. First set to Baxter and Held, and they got out there real quick. Patty, what do Hagman and Murphy have to do to turn this thing around?
I think Hagman's going to drive the ball, Mark. We've seen him hit 99% of his shots as lobs and really not posing a threat out of that ad court. And Baxter's hitting the majority of the overheads. We spoke of what a perfect role player Held is for Baxter here, giving him a lot of hits. And I just feel like if we do the same, it's going to be another 6-2 set for Baxter Held. Hagman's rock solid. He's almost too chill over there. But to your point, you said it earlier, if he continues doing this, they're not going to, they can't come back in this match. He's going to have to pose a little bit of a threat or try to get Thomas Murphy to get some more looks on his forehand.
And he's lobbing cross court so much. So there's an example, a little bit of a lucky overhead, obviously, but eventually it's incumbent upon the team in the backcourt to try and make a play.
Well, you know, early in the first set, I thought Hagman did a pretty good job of putting a couple lobs up the line over Zach Held's head. But he seems to have gotten away from trying to lob it up the line. He's just feeding right into their overheads.
Well, there he made a couple of offensive moves and ends up missing the lob, but at least he started to present the appearance of some offense.
I don't think he was thinking drive. I think he just was thinking, okay, I'm going to move over. He did look like he was going to be aggressive.
Well, there we get a forehand, and he elicits an error from Held. I think Held was just shocked that Hagman drove the ball, didn't know what to do.
Baxter's overhead sat up a little bit on that second panel on the baseline.
Another forehand from Hagman.
You know, Mark, there's a lot of players who do prefer driving off of the screens versus the deck, and maybe Hagman's one of those players. More of the same with Held, cross-court of Hagman, playing close to the net. And Baxter straight ahead in the blue, playing a little bit further back, closer to the baseline. It's Thomas Murphy in the far side, deuce court. That's the back of Zach Held. Is that his shirt, Mark, or is that sweat?
There's another missed lob from
Sweat.
Hagman. Sweat
30.
brings us to game point. That is so frustrating, Patty, when you fault to a guy who's lobbing every return of serve. Catches the nick. Another game point. And have we seen Hagman drive one return of serve? That doesn't count as a drive. That was a low lob. There's a sneaky little backhand,
That was.
followed by a shanked
They win the
forehand.
second set. One game
Even
to
that
love.
little backhand, that was kind of an interesting play. I would say most top players would move over closer to the side screen and pummel a forehand there.
Yep.
You know, Hagman kind of held the shot and then hit a cool, kind of a cool backhand, but didn't do him any good. I think the forehand would have been the play. Yeah, you know, he just doesn't look to make an aggressive move with his whole body, getting himself sideways, and a little bit, you know, to the side, over closer by the, you know, the sideline.
15 love.
Good move there from Murphy on top of the net.
It's a great shot of that Viking Athletics banner in the background, Mark, our official sponsor of everything APTA.
Big shout out to Alex Banchila Jr., whose birthday is today.
Are we going to sing?
As an accommodation to our viewers, I would say no.
Okay. That's a really good, quick decision.
A really easy one as well.
Solid.
Look at Murphy read that play. 30 love. And it looked like Baxter had the easy forehand and Murphy cut all the way across the court to hit a winning backhand volley.
What do you think Hagman's pulse is, Mark?
I'm not sure there is one, Patty.
He is a relaxed paddle player.
I don't think he has that problem of freneticism that we were talking about earlier.
Love.
Good and the bad of Ryan Baxter that game.
We are tied in the second set, one game all.
Yeah, pace of play for Ryan was pretty fast and 2 errors in a row.
15 love.
So it's 1-all, 15 love.
This is the Indianapolis Open, right here in the middle of the APTA National Championships. This says a lot about paddle out in the Midwest, and the level of play here is really high. You know, fun to see, a growing paddle community.
Always a good thing. There's Hagman stepping in, hitting the forehand a little bit. I'm still not convinced he has a forehand though, Patty. We really haven't seen him put the hammer down once.
Yeah. I'd like them to pull out the old Goodspeed Manzinger play.
Little switch in the backcourt.
Switch in the backcourt and give him a little bit of a different look. Because Hagman's the setup player, sometimes it's a little easier to break a team down from some of these lobs from the deuce court versus the ad court. Your point of him lobbing a majority of his overheads cross court really doesn't do anything to screw up Baxter and Held. I don't know, I just want Murphy to get some more looks.
Interesting things do tend to happen when he's got the ball on his paddle.
You know, again, and with Baxter making the play, you know, I'd also love to see Hagman just take a ball, you know, and instead of throwing up the lob cross court, just put an off-speed ball up the line. You know, like a little bit of a drive off speed, I think would be really effective. You see how much of the line Baxter's giving up.
So, Patty, you come into a match with a plan. And at what point do you abandon the plan because it's not successful? Was it too early? Was it too late? 15-all. Want to get back to me on that one?
Well, I almost think it's too early right now. When we started the set, I was thinking it was too late. But now I think, given that Baxter's thrown in a couple of errors, could work out a little bit better for Hagman and Murphy. And like we said, Baxter and Held are working a lot harder in this match overall.
You surprised Baxter's not aiming for the nick more often?
I am. I think it's wide open for the taking.
He's hitting a lot of cut overheads. I'd be hitting flat overheads at the nick.
A little higher point of contact.
Yep. Like that was a perfect one.
See that? Hagman could have driven that ball. You know, Murphy pulled that little shot out, had a little bit of an opening. There's a great shot from Thomas Murphy.
But he got the forehand from Murphy and he converts. 15-30. I don't think they've broken yet today, Patty, or at least in this match. There's a fault, which will give them 2 break opportunities.
Mark, your lunch looks really good sitting on the table in front of us. You only have to wait till this match is over to eat it?
Well, fortunately, it's a cold lunch, Patty, so it won't get any colder. And at that point, it'll be dinner, actually.
Smart choice to go with the cold meal.
So they finally get the break opportunity, and Murphy, who's the balance of the offense, misses his return. You wonder whether the moment is passing him by.
You could just see him itching to get in the play more. And Hagman just can't get that ball maybe down to force it over to him.
And Murphy's standing 2 feet to the left of the center hash line at points. Well, Patty, being as great a player as you were, how did you handle being iced out of matches where you weren't getting a lot of balls?
Well, you know.
Well, there's a forehand from Hagman, and we have a break. 2-1 Hagman Murphy.
Well, I think
Baxter held, won the first set.
Uline is the leading distributor of shipping, industrial, and packaging materials to business throughout North America. They ship over 2.5 million boxes every day, but they are so much more than a box company. More than 32,000 quality products are always in stock and ready to ship. Outstanding customer service means they're here when you need them, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Uline, the best selection, products, and people for an unforgettable customer experience. Okay, Patty, a little shift in the mo here.
little shift in the mo. I remember Hank Irvine telling me a million years ago when I was fresh off my college tennis playing career, and that came to an end, and I graduated and was introduced to paddle, and he said to me, you've got to let the game come to you, and you can't force it. And sometimes you'll be overplayed, and they'll pick on you in a sense, and that's where you have to be really disciplined. But when they don't hit you, that's even when you have to be more disciplined, because you're only going to get a couple of looks. You can't force it in that moment. I really think Hagman's got to vary. If he could spot some more lobs instead of being so predictable in where he's hitting it, it could be effective. And like I said, he's got to take some of those backhands and just drive the ball up the line. Baxter's giving him a third of the court wide open every time.
Back-to-back faults there for Murphy. Takes us to deuce. That forehand from Baxter could have been spotted so much better. He almost hit Hagman's paddle.
Correction, the ball was in.
Okay, another overrule by the umpire. That takes us to 40-30. That was a big call, Patty.
That was a big call. And again, they stopped playing instead of just hit the ball back.
Although on the overrule, once you made the wrong call, you lose the point.
Right.
I think your point is a good one when it comes to league play. Back to deuce. Good return there from Baxter.
My point is, Mark, there's another point I actually have. And that's simply that, you're so competitive and you're out here and you want the ball to go out, but sometimes you don't get that pure look until the ball, 1/2 second more has passed. And that's why I think it's always a great rule of thumb to continue and play your next shot as you're making the call, because you just have a little more time to be more accurate.
Really important game. I know we're early second set, but you feel like the momentum is just hanging in the balance right now.
Shout out to Joe Alice Smith, who says I need to speak louder. So, Joe Alice, I always listen.
I've never heard that being a problem before, Patty.
It's rarely a problem.
Did she tell you have to speak more, too? Because then I'll know she's got no credibility.
She said not more often, just
okay.
a little bit louder.
Great lob there from Baxter. Murphy tries to beat him in transition and misses. Break opportunity to get back on serve. This would be a tough game for Hagman Murphy to lose.
See that ball from Baxter. Why did he throw up a lob there? He had the ball of life.
Yeah, I was really
close
surprised
to the
by
service
that.
line.
I was going to say, are you surprised not hitting the ball a little higher at Murphy? Because when somebody plays that close to the net, they're really a target. Back to deuce. See again, that's a poorly placed forehand. That one was great.
First one was right to the waiting paddle, Brian Hagman cross court. That's why I think drives from that ad court through the middle a little bit more, or at the right hip of the guy straight ahead of you.
Absolutely.
I mean, in order to break a team down. Sometimes you're so juicy, you just go to hit the ball and you go right at a person because then the odds of you missing are very low. But you need, as a lot of people always say, those probing drives that can kind of force a volley error or a short volley. We're in Pittsburgh at the Field Club. It's the city of bridges,
Racket
Mark.
Club.
The Racket Club.
Fox Chapel Racket Club. A lot of bridges.
I was there this morning. I was at the Field Club. Now I'm at the Racket Club. The city of bridges, Mark. Do you know how many bridges Pittsburgh has?
76.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple, multiple choice. 466, 76, or 9,000.
9,000.
Okay, now what's your next guess?
476. Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know what city in the U.S. has more?
I do not.
You live kind of close to it, Mark.
What's really disciplined. A great lob there from Held. Smart.
Mark, Joella said she can hear me now.
Okay, that's important. And there's the break. 2-all.
Game, Baxter held.
Well, they were up 30 love that game, faulted twice, then had several game points. And that's the essence of the match, though, isn't it, Patty? The ability to close games.
So we were at a similar point in the first set. Weren't we at 2-all, Mark? And then...
Maybe.
Was it 2-all?
I think it was 3-1,
You seem
actually.
to always remember things like that.
In that case, it was 3-1 in the first set.
Okay. And then that's when Baxter Held kind of took control of that first set.
And you can see the pressure Murphy's putting on them by being on top of the net. That was a ball Baxter just tried to make a little bit too fine. But I think you've got to make Murphy volley that ball moving. I mean, that's such a difficult thing to do.
What do you mean, hit him moving? Can you explain that?
So Murphy is all over the net, jumping around. And volleying on the move is a really difficult thing. So make him make that volley. He's not going to put it away on you.
Gotcha. So they're trying to avoid him.
I thought that last forehand that Ryan Baxter missed, he was trying to go around him. Like that overhead right there, to me, that's a perfect opportunity to go at the nick. Like that.
Kind of interesting to see the big wind-up on Baxter's overhead, Mark. Drops his paddle way down, way behind. Beautiful fluid motion.
He's a really pretty athlete.
That's Baxter in the blue. That's Zach Held, who just hit that ball. Brian Hagman's in the ad court, far side. And that's Thomas Murphy, doing what he loves to do, which is drive that ball out of that deuce court on the forehand. Just not getting that many chances today.
Can you beat really good teams with this setup man in the backhand court, Patty? I mean, especially as little as Hagman has driven the ball today.
I think you can, but the shot I don't see from Hagman at all is just a little bit of an off-speed chip off the deck. He doesn't seem to hit enough of those shots. And I just think the highest level players in the sport, can hit that chip shot where they hold it and it can make the opponents think it could be either a low ball or a high ball. And they throw it in and it keeps the team honest position-wise.
Great shot there.
Good.
Baxter takes us to 15 all.
Mark, how many teams are competing for the national championship this weekend? Do you know the number in the men's draw?
I think the men's draw was 108. And the women's draw was somewhere in the 70s, 74.
Yep. And what's the schedule for the men, Mark? How far do we go today in the draw?
We'll have 32 teams left at the end of the day. And then tomorrow, 32 16s. And then, of course, the Saturday night quarterfinals of the guys. And on the women's side, we're going to play through to the 16s. And then tomorrow they play quarters, semis.
And then on Sunday we have men's semis.
Men's semis, women's finals, men's finals. Got any dark horses, Patty?
Oh, a lot, but I'm not really a betting person.
Late blitz there from Baxter. He's able to recover.
I think both tournaments are wide open, and there's a lot of times in nationals, you know, you'd think there's maybe 2 or 3 teams who could legitimately win it. Going a little bit more this year for the first time.
How many you going on the guys' side?
I'm going 4 or 5. But the draw, as it were to be, how it all came out, has a lot of couple of top teams in the top half of that draw, with last year's national final matchup of Hughes and Powers, who defeated Broderick and Palmer for the title. You know, if both teams were to follow the course and get to the semi, they would meet each other.
There, Baxter finds the nick on the serve. Yeah, I think there are really 3 teams that can win nationals on the guys' side this year, Patty. I'm not willing to go to 4 or 5.
Really?
Yep.
Because of how the draw came out, is that the reason why you're saying that, Mark?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I
Because
would have.
some of the top teams are going to knock each other out.
Yes. I mean, Chervinsky and McNerney were a team I thought coming in had a shot, but gosh, their draw is just brutal.
Right. They would have to play back to back to back to back.
Right.
Great matches.
So my 3 teams are our top 3 seeds.
Okay.
Our defending national champions,
Hughes
and
and
Powers. Obviously, our 2nd seed, Araya Parsons, and then clearly Broderick Palmer. Won 3 of the last 4 years.
Who's the 4th seed, Mark?
4th seed of the Rose brothers.
Okay.
Had a terrific season and played great yesterday in President's Cup. I just don't know if they've had the experience. I mean, neither of them have ever been to a national semifinal.
Have they made it to the quarters?
Pete has, Paul has not.
Okay. And Pete was playing with Ben McKnight?
Yep. And I was very impressed with Paul's game yesterday. Played very well in President's Cup.
You mean Bam Bam, as they call him out in Chicago?
There's a good forehand there from Hagman. And how about the women's side, Patty?
Well, I'll tell you, when you talk about a loaded draw, there's a 16 that's an intriguing matchup, potentially, with Vicky Stoklasova. And she's playing with Jade Curtis, and they've played 3 tournaments this year and have not lost a match yet. But they come up against Amy Shea, who is teamed up with 3-time national champion Anna Brazova.
So if you were picking a
Talk
favorite,
about a dark horse team.
if you're picking a favorite, Patty, who would you pick?
I think it's too early on my Friday to make my pick, Mark. I need a few more hours.
What time do you want to get back to us?
A couple hours. What is it,
40,
2:15
30.
now? I usually make predictions around 5 o'clock.
Okay, I'll try and keep that in mind.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Stoklasov and Curtis are the favorites.
So we have Van Sterenberg and Hanisch, current number 1 in the country, and Laura Barrett and Roxanne Nika, current number 2. But they, you know, are each have had some great matches this year. A couple of tough losses to each other, and you know, easy to say the favorite is the team who hasn't lost a match yet, but they've not played really a full schedule yet.
And then, of course, Cruz Nicolescu.
Well, I mean, when you talk
For the
about coming
defending.
into this under the radar, you know, the defending national champs, Gabby just had a baby, and she's I guess she had a baby mid-December.
Yep.
So she played Short Hills, and they made it to the quarters. And, I mean, really, I thought had an outstanding tournament for Gabby was amazing, having just given birth. So I think you and I both agree that Niculescu is one of the most amazing women in the game today, and she can dictate the outcome of matches.
I would go further than that. I would call her the best player in the game.
Okay. Well, you always like to say best.
Just an opinion.
But, you know, I grew up. I was one of 11 kids. My parents never said you were the best. They just
I think
said,
you're
you know,
the best.
like, you're one of the best.
I think you're the best Hogan.
I think I'm the best Hogan in paddle since no one else plays.
Okay, big hold there for Baxter Held. 2 long, grinding games, and they're up 3-2.
But
And how
you
many
could argue-
women's teams? How many women's teams can win, Patty?
Okay, so I'm going to say there are 4 women's teams.
You don't mind doing this before 5 o'clock?
No,
do you?
not at all, because it's 2:20, so that's closer to 5.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I've heard that phrase before.
So Stoklasova and Curtis, you know, our 3 and 4s in this are intriguing to me. And if they got through to the final, it wouldn't surprise me, I would say.
So how many teams do you think are capable of winning?
Well, there's a Hungary team out there, Delmonico Gebbia. They were taken out 2 years ago or 3 years ago in Darien by Dardis and Shea in an incredible semifinal match.
Yep,
Lauren's had 2 babies. She's back and firing. And
playing better than ever.
oh boy, I saw them warming up last night at the Edgeworth Club. And
So you have the first 4 seeds. You have Delmonico, Gebbia. Anybody else?
I'm going to stop it right there.
Okay, I'm going to throw Ondrejkovic and Zabori into the mix.
So, you know, that's intriguing. They're number 10 seeds. Martina's a former national champion with Gabby Niculescu. Anna Maria Zabori is one of the most talented women out here. My only issue is I just don't think they've played enough matches this year to be able to play back-to-back to back and win.
Yep, that's a valid
I
criticism.
just don't know if they'll have that ability to perform at that high level and sustain it.
I was very impressed by their round of 64 match against Prendergast Zink. But they looked really good there. At least until Zabori had the Viking imprinted on her cheek.
I'll
Which I
tell
thought
you,
was a nice nod toward our sponsor.
that was. She's walking around the tournament. She's got that V. She's got the horns on her cheek.
The Scarlet V.
I'll tell you, Mark, one of the things I did notice about them, which I was happy about for them, is I thought they played pretty disciplined in their
Great
net
volley
coverage.
there for Murphy. Sorry, go ahead, Patty.
No, and I just think the top teams in the women's game need to volley really well, as we've always spoken about it. And I think Zabori didn't stick her paddle in front of Martina, and I think that's a key to their success. I think if they're really consistent as shifters and staying on the backhand volley, they could go all the way. I think Zabori has so many choices and loves to flip her paddle over to the forehand, but, you know, didn't do it very much in that first match. So I think that bodes really well for them.
I also think that the weather is going to be an asset for them. Because if we're going to play tennis, then they're a really good team. And the warmer the weather, the more we're playing tennis on the court.
That ball's going to sit up higher, and that brings
Yep.
it right into the wheelhouse of both Ondrejkovic and Zabori.
Yeah, so that would be my number. 5 would be the number of women's teams I think can win.
Okay, I'm going to go. I'll agree with you on 5.
Down goes Baxter.
Although I'm sticking with 4, but I'm not going to tell you which team I'm taking out of it.
Hold it, you just told me you were going with 5. What happened?
I think one of the number 1 or 2 seeds is going out here by the quarters.
Wow.
That's my prediction.
Woo! Little
All
flare
right, Hagman drove the ball.
from the Midwestern DeRose.
You know, we talked about Held being incredible role player here. I mean, he's just letting Baxter do his thing, and he's just not interfering with it. And as far over as Baxter wants to go, Held just keeps moving over and gets out of his way.
That's a great forehand from Murphy. Game Hagman Murphy. Games are 3-all. Second set. That's a great job by Held staying in the point. And then Hagman misses the cut. It's interesting how often those really bad lobs turn out well. You know, the low ones that barely clear the net. You don't really have room to gear up to hit the big cut. Worried about hitting the net.
Right, but you don't see Broderick or Araya, Johan ever missing an overhead
No.
like that.
No.
And they probably don't miss it because they wouldn't take it there. If that ball's so low and it's an in-between, they'll just hit another push volley probably.
Well, isn't that the most important part of the game? Shot selection, knowing when you can hit certain shots. Look how far over Murphy is. He's almost in the alley of the ad court.
And he can play that far over because there's no screen you can beat the guy on. Not one player out here has missed any screen besides, I think, a Nick. Again, Heg just let that ball go right around him. He didn't spend any energy chasing it down.
We haven't seen him expend any energy, period, Patty.
But I like the play because it just gives Thomas Murphy some more touches.
Hagman took a couple of steps there into the court. Did you see that?
He did.
He looks tired to me.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to play poker against Hagman. He shows nothing. Oh my
what
Lord.
a shot! Hagman's looking just absolutely perplexed. How did that ball beat me?
He could not believe Held made that play.
And I can't either. What a shot.
What an athlete.
I expect to see that ball dribble into the net.
30-15.
It's the irony of the game, Patty. We have a 100-stroke rally followed by a 2-stroke rally. Another forehand return. I think I'm counting that one as a drive. That's good play from Hagman there. Ah, that was a ball he could have hit.
See, I just
40-15.
40-15. Good, Patty?
Goes into finesse paddle when he gets the short ball. You see it as an opportunity to take a rip and hit it and pummel the guy. Spot a drive on the guy's right hip area or right shoulder. But the way he's wired is he's thinking finesse, sharp cross-court angles.
Oh, Baxter played that point brilliantly and missed the volley.
40-30.
I love how short in the court Baxter was. He caught that ball early and took time away from him. Hit a great lob, great block lob. Here's another forehand from Hagman. He's going a little wild now. It's to this game.
Well, a lot of guys, when you see him return serve from the ad court, they stand completely sideways, and he faces, straight to the net. Sometimes that's a hard way to generate, pace a little bit.
Does he have the Gugu Gonçalves shoelaces are both untied?
His right shoelace has been untied since the first set.
Now they're both untied? Maybe he made a mistake of tying it?
Maybe they're just really long laces.
And there's Murphy driving the ball again from the opposition alley.
Lead the second set 4 games.
Well,
This game Baxter held.
Murphy's so eager for a look that he kind of forced it. It was a good enough overhead, deep enough. But, you know, Murphy was just thinking, I'm taking the next ball I get, and I'm driving it no matter what.
And he did.
I kind of think he had to. So we're 4-3, second set. It's a round of 32 match, Mark.
64.
Like I said, this is a round of 64 match, Mark.
Winner, what you said was the winner of this is going to be in the 32.
Exactly.
I knew what you were saying, Patty Hogan.
It's good you're a psychic.
Looking forward to the women's 16s, especially the Guillaume Molenveld Zabori Andrekova match.
I'll tell you, the 16s are as good as any 16s in any women's nationals I've ever seen. Is that the match that's next up on live stream, Mark?
I don't know, Patty. We'll have to find out.
Okay.
15 love.
Insider information. We don't want to give anything up to the crowd at home. Look how far Baxter went over.
And there you see Hagman bailing, which is fine, but he was kind of sideways and he got pegged by the ball. Which reminds me a little bit of Brian O'Connor, who get hit in the butt more than any player I've ever seen. I can never understand why his butt was facing the net, though. That's a great lob. That's a great slot.
Look at Baxter all over the place.
But some great pickups there from Hagman. A lot of pressure on him there. That's a big point.
That was a big point, and actually Baxter was too much all over the place there. Zach Held is more than capable of getting any ball back from what I can see.
That's a great ball from Hagman there in transition. Oh,
Wow.
5-hole.
30 all.
Great backhand from Baxter. Critical moment in the match here.
Yeah, kind of a predictable overhead. Baxter's seen that a million times and just ripped it.
I think that Baxter and Held have to hit more balls where Murphy is, as opposed to where he's going. Get some balls behind him. That's a good ball right there.
You know, we've seen it all the time. The top players in the game have a lot of spin varieties, and I just don't see much in terms of like an offensive or an aggressive overhead out of Murphy or Hagman there.
You see the number 2 seeded women's team at the right-hand side of our screen. Barrett and Nika.
Yeah, they've played a lot of tournaments this year, Anika and Barron, and done a really good job and had some great results.
Oh, it's a great get, great shot. Oh, great action. No,
But-
Patty, go ahead.
30.
No, I was just going to say there you can see the spins from Baxter allowed him to control the court, you know, hit shots that all of a sudden Hagman and Murphy couldn't cover the next one.
And I was going to say break opportunity, and they'll serve for the match at 5-3.
3.
But Patty, I noticed an anomaly on the next court. There's a woman playing with the paddle in her left hand. I'm astonished at how few lefties play the women's game. I mean, there are none at the top of the game.
Are they allowed?
Apparently not. And this woman's in violation of the rules. Someone should talk to Shannon Vincent about that. You can see the air kind of going out of the Hagman-Murphy balloon a little bit.
15 love.
Yep. And we're being sarcastic, but it's very true, Mark. Good observation. We see so few lefties out here.
Why is that?
really have a solid answer. I could make up one.
Oh, great action.
Wow.
Baxter asked about the call. That was a great point.
This umpire's done a good job. Immediate makes calls.
Hagman's
immediately.
got a lot of touch and finesse. If you would complement it with a little bit of driving the ball hard, it would make his touchy-feely shots so much more effective. That was not a good drop shot.
He telegraphed that a little bit and held his paddle up high. And it's like, Ryan, I'm going to hit a drop shot now. Ryan said, okay, and took off.
When you can hit a drop shot down from a foot from the net, you got problems.
Yeah, Hagman's got a ton of shots, but I agree. I just think he's got to deliver. He's got to bring some heat occasionally. But I love all his finesse shots and his discipline.
The thing that makes, one of the many things that makes Johan Durant so great is he's got that combination where he's going to hit that little dink, but that's only because you're afraid he's going to put the missile through your stomach. There's a good ball from Murphy again, 30 all.
30 all.
That's a great forehand. Oh, what a lob. There's the hard overhead.
Oh, my Lord.
First one we've seen the whole match. Takes him
Well,
to match point.
Held hasn't hit too many, but he is so fun to watch hit the ball. I love the passion you can just feel out of him on every shot.
Match point. We see a big forehand from Hagman on match point. Well, maybe it was a bigger forehand. We'll go with big.
Clearly it caught held off guard as well. Just kind of mistimed that ball. Again, this is Ricky Baxter, light blue shirt, unique formation where he seems to be playing further back than his partner Zach the entire match, taking a majority of the overheads.
Great get from Murphy. Great scramble.
Hagman's sticking with his strategy of hitting a million lobs.
Great overhead there. Why do you think we've seen so little of that? We've seen them done it twice this game, and they won 2 points with it.
Yeah, they weren't listening. We told them they should aim for that nick more.
Match point number 2. I think first short overhead, we're going to see them hit a real hard ball at Hagman. Oop, there we go. Game, set, and match. Baxter held. 6-2, 6-3. Patty, any final thoughts on the match?
Brian Hagman should have driven more balls, Mark. That's my final thought.
Okay, we're going to be back with a women's round of 16 match shortly after these messages right here on the APTA network, presented by eNet Live.